The bay was still that morning, the kind of quiet that makes you forget how fast life can turn. We were docked just beyond the HOA's reach, where the open sea stretched out like a promise. Our little family yacht wasn't much just enough for my son Tommy's 10th birthday. He didn't want a big party, no clowns or bounce houses. Just fishing with his dad, a slice of cake, and the feeling of being out where the world couldn't touch us. Somewhere only we know, he'd say, stealing the line from a song he loved. My wife, Sarah, had set up a small table on deck, cupcakes, paper lanterns, a speaker humming soft jazz. Tommy, in his green rash guard, barefoot and grinning, waved at pelicans like he was king of the ocean. I stood nearby, arms crossed, watching him the way I always did. 10 years old, still so small, still so pure. That day wasn't about my past, not the missions, the medals, or the nightmares from pulling bodies out of war zones. I was just dad. Tommy turned to me, eyes bright. "Can I jump in after cake?" I grinned. "You can jump in now if you want. This ocean's all yours today." His laugh was the kind only kids have free. Fearless. It was perfect, until it wasn't. A gust of wind hit, and a chill crawled down my neck, not from the breeze, but from something wrong slinking into our world. A distant hum grew into a roar. Then we saw it, a sleek white boat slicing toward us, fast and mean. At the helm stood Linda Carver, white blouse flapping, sunglasses hiding her eyes, clipboard clutched like a weapon. HOA tyrant. I didn't know what she'd do, but I knew this. She shouldn't have come here. Not today. Not near my son. Her powerboat carved a scar across the calm water, spraying salt against our hull. Conversation stopped. Even the speaker stuttered, like it sensed trouble. Linda didn't glide in. She invaded, standing tall like she owned the tide. "This is a regulated marine sound zone," she shrieked before even docking. "Your VYOLADing HOA noise protocol, Section 3, Subsection 14 unauthorized gatherings within VY Sewell perimeter." I stepped forward, planting myself between her boat and Tommy. "Back off," I said, voice low, sharp. "This isn't HOA water. This is open sea." She smirked. Visual and auditory disturbances are enforceable within HOA sight lines. "And I can see you." My fists clenched. I didn't blink. Behind me, Tommy held his cupcake, eyes wide. "Lady, it's a kid's birthday," I growled. "Take your clipboard and crawl back to whatever rock you came from." Her smile turned venomous. She reached in her cooler, pulled out a water bottle, and held it like a grenade. "Maybe you shouldn't raise disrespectful brats in my community." And she threw it. The bottle spun through the air, slicing the silence, and cracked against Tommy's nose. His cupcake flew one way, his body the other. I heard flesh hit wood, his breath catch, then the worst sound a father can know, the splash. He went overboard. Sarah screamed. The other kids gasped. My heart detonated. I vaulted the railing, DVYing into the sea, arms cutting the water like blades. Combat DVYing had trained me for this cold water, blind reach, high-stakes rescue. I found him 3 feet down, eyes wide, dazed. I pulled him up, broke the surface, and held him tight. Blood ran from his nostril to his chin. Then I looked up. Linda was laughing, not surprised, not nervous, but smug, like she'd won. She pulled out her phone, aimed it at us, and said, "This is what happens when outsiders play in grown-up waters." That was it. The switch flipped. The soldier in me woke. I handed Tommy to Sarah without a word, climbed back onto the yacht, and locked eyes with Linda. No warnings. No words. "You hurt my son. Now you deal with me." I crossed the deck in 3 strides, water dripping from my skin. Linda was still filming, still smirking behind those ridiculous sunglasses. I leapt. 1 jump, and I cleared the gap to her boat like it was nothing. Her friends, 3 women in pastel cardigans, squealed. One dropped her wine tumbler. Another backed against the railing. Linda lowered her phone, surprised but not scared. "Not yet." "Excuse me. I didn't let her finish." My fist smashed her boat's plexiglass windshield. Shards rained across her sandals. She stumbled back. "What the?" I grabbed the wheel and wrenched it hard. The boat lurched, knocking everyone off their feet. Linda hit the deck, screaming. Her clipboard spun into the sea like a surrender flag. Rules don't float so well, I growled, towering over her. One friend tried to stand. Call the police. I turned, eyes blazing. Call God. You'll need both. Linda scrambled up. You psychopath. This is a federal offense. I dropped to one knee, grabbed her blouse, and yanked her close, nose to nose. You assaulted my son. You aimed for a child. And now you want mercy. She opened her mouth. I dragged her to the boat's edge, slammed her knees to the deck, and pointed. Look, she saw the sea, the blood still swirling where Tommy fell, Sarah's sobs echoing. This is where you threw him. This is where you kneel now. I grabbed her head and shoved her face first into the water. 1, 2, 3 seconds. Long enough for fear to sink in. I pulled her up. She gasped, choking, mascara streaking like lies. You think rules protect you? I whispered. Out here, the ocean decides. And it answers to me. She shook, not from cold, but from realizing she wasn't in control. I dragged her to the center of her boat. She stumbled, coughing seawater, clutching her chest like someone would save her. No one did. Her friends crouched, silent, terrified. I turned to them. One of you, record this. If she twists this in court, we'll have proof. A trembling woman pulled out her phone. Linda shrieked, No, I forbid it. I spun. You're nothing here. Not after what you did. She backed up, hands raised. You assaulted me. I'll sue. I stepped close, voice deadly. Try it. I'll show the court you assaulting a 10-year-old, then filming it for your HOA cult. She froze. I played her own VYDO voice. Saw this is what happens when outsiders play in grown-up waters. Saw smile. Linda, I said. You're the star now. I forced her to her knees. Apologized to Tommy. Loud. Clear. On camera. She shook her head. I won't. You will. Or I'll put you back in the water until you learn sorry. She knew I wasn't bluffing. Her voice cracked. I'm sorry, Tommy. I shouldn't have thrown it. I was wrong. Good, I said, standing. Now sit. Don't move. Don't breathe unless I say so. I stepped off her boat and back to mine. Tommy, wrapped in a towel, stared wide-eyed. Linda stayed on her knees, soaked, broken, salt water dripping down her face. The Coast Guard arrived, called by someone on shore. Linda stood, wrapping herself in a towel, lips trembling but eyes scheming. She marched to the officers. Thank God you're here. That man assaulted me. He broke my windshield, dragged me by the hair, tried to drown me. An officer raised an eyebrow. He tried to drown you? Yes. He's dangerous. She gestured to her friends, but they looked away. The officer turned to me. Sir, your statement? I met his gaze calm. I've got VYDO. So does she. I pulled out my phone and played at Linda's live stream. Her laugh, the bottle hitting Tommy, his scream. The officer's face hardened. Linda's drained. That's edited, she stammered. Fake. The officer cut her off. This is your feed, ma'am. Timestamp geotagged, and you're laughing while a child goes overboard. She lunged, pointing. He's a lunatic. I stepped forward. You threw a bottle at a 10-year-old. You bragged about it. You were safe until you made my son bleed. They cuffed her right there. She screamed harassment, set up, but the cuffs clicked louder. Her friend stayed silent. She was going down alone. The VYDO spread like wildfire. By evening, it was on neighborhood chats, HOA pages, even a legal watchdog forum. Not because I shared it, their friends did. It showed everything. The bottle, Tommy's scream, her laughter. Raw truth burned through her reputation. That night, Seaside Pines HOA called an emergency meeting, not to investigate, but to distance themselves from Linda Carver. They'd known she was a bully. They just didn't expect a fight. I stood outside the clubhouse, watching SUVs roll in, smug faces sweating. Linda was held overnight, but her allies showed up until they flipped. Voices rose inside. We told her to back off that family. She was our face. Now she's our stain. The treasurer, Ellen, stepped out pale. She's out. Removed as president. I nodded. And the rest of you? Still think her rules kept you safe? Ellen swallowed. We were scared of her, too. I leaned in. You were silent. That's worse. The next morning, a screenshot was taped to the HOA board. Linda on her knees, soaked, mascara streaked. Above it, saw rules for thee, not for me. Saw below, in red Sharpie, Saw never again. Saw. The neighborhood felt different after that. Same lawns, same joggers, but the fear was gone. So was the lie. Tommy sat on our deck, dolphin towel around him, salt from tears still faint on his cheeks. His nose was healing, but his eyes were far away. She looked at me like I was trash, he whispered. I knelt beside him. She looks at everyone like that, son. She's weak, built on fake power finds, threats, clipboards. But she scared you, he said. I nodded. She scared a lot of people. Bullies yell loud to hide how hollow they are. He paused. What if another comes? I didn't flinch. They'll meet someone like me. His eyes searched mine. Would you have drowned her? I took a breath. No, but she believed I might. That's what saved you. Not VY, Olin's a consequence. He went quiet. Gulls circled. The water lapped the pier. Then he said, Can I learn to be like you? Not scared. I gripped the railing, staring at the sea that nearly took him. You don't need to be me. Just remember, some use rules to hurt, but the ocean doesn't care about rules. It answers to strength. When someone tries to hurt you, don't yell. Don't run. Look them in the eye and say, My father remembers, and I'm not afraid. Tommy's jaw set, shoulders squared. He was learning. Behind us, someone tore down the HOA banner. The pole snapped. The tide had turned. 2 days later, we went back to the water. Not because we had tow cause we chose to. Tommy stood on the dock, barefoot, towel like a cape. His nose was scabbed, ugly but healing. He didn't laugh like before, but he was here. The yacht rocked gently, tied to the same cleat, facing the same sea where everything changed. It feels different, he said. Because it is, I answered. You earned that. He looked up. People still talk about her. I knew they did. Linda's mugshot was everywhere, her title stripped, court date looming. But her real punishment wasn't Gilet, was irrelevance. No one feared her. She was a punchline. That photo of her kneeling, dripping, was reprinted even on T-shirts. Saw saltwater justice. Saw that they don't talk about her the same, I said. They talk about what she lost because you serve VY Ved. Tommy took a breath. I want to jump in. I blinked. Sure, yeah, but you come with me. So we did. Side by side, he counted 1, 2, 3, and we leapt. The water stung, swallowed the light, silenced the world. But when we surfaced, Tommy laughed loud, real pure. He splashed me. I tackled him under. We came up grinning. Sarah watched from the dock, half laughing, half crying. We stayed out there for hours. No engines, no shrill voices. The sea was ours again. As we dried off, Tommy turned to me. Hey, Dad. Yeah, bud. I'm glad she picked the wrong kid. I raised an eyebrow. Why's that? He smiled, not like a boy, but something stronger. Because I've got the wrong father for her to mess with. I laughed, pulled him into a hug, held him tight. No, Tommy. She picked the right father. And now she knows it. The tide rolled in. No shouting. No rules. Just the ocean. And the boy who laughed again. Life tests you when you're not ready. We didn't plan for Tommy's birthday to end in blood or for his laughter to spark cruelty. But it did. Standing between the sea and the woman who hurt my son, I had to decide who I was, not the soldier, not the citizen, but the father. The line between peace and violence is thin when someone harms your child. But it's not about revenge. It's about consequence. Linda thought her clipboard and title made her untouchable. She was wrong. Real power comes from choices standing up when others stay quiet, protecting the vulnerable, even when it's dangerous. This isn't just her story. It's about every system that lets bullies thrive, every ignored complaint, every neighbor who shrugs. That's just how it is. Until it goes too far. Never underestimate a quiet father's strength. Never let fear hide as order. And never teach your kids to stay silent when they're hurt. Healing comes from jumping back into the water together, hearing your child laugh, knowing you did what was right, even if it cost you peace. What would you do if it was your kid on that boat's edge? Would you wait for the law? Or would you cross that line, knowing some lines should never be crossed, no matter who holds a clipboard?